in the gate. And they're off. Sundrop with some early speed. Flip-flop is there. Risk-averse is in between those two. Wend is not far behind. Mona Lisa's forwardly placed today, but there goes Intercontinental out to race for the lead as they make their way for the first turn. So it's Intercontinental on the outside up with the lead. Wend is second, and Mona Lisa not far behind on the outside third. Risk-averse up close today, fourth toward the head. And then in between horses is Flip-flop running along in fifth position now. On the outside, it's Karen's Caper. She's 4 wide round the first turn, running in sixth. Sundrop seventh, and on hold on the inside. Ouija board right there in mid-pack in this bulky field. She's running along in eighth position. Not far behind is Wonder Again. And then on the outside, Filmmaker, now launching a bid from about 10 lengths out of it, followed by Lewis Line, favorable terms, and Angara trails the field. And very keen up front is Intercontinental, who's setting the pace here. Rafael Bejarano trying to settle her down, but she was able to negotiate a half mile in 48 and 4/5 seconds, even over this off-going. That's a tepid pace for these fillies. Up top, Intercontinental now being challenged by Wend as they race for the half-mile pole. Karen's Caper looms on the outside, right there running in third. Mona Lisa under a ride to stay up with the half mile to go. Flip-flop continues to run on well. Ouija board's only 5 lengths behind as they enter the far turn, followed by Lewis Line. Filmmaker is launching her bid. Wonder Again still about 9 or 10 lengths out of it. Sundrop threads her way through. Risk-averse is tailing off, followed by favorable terms, Angara, and Megahertz is way behind. Megahertz has been trailing way behind the rest as the field turns for home. Intercontinental still in front. And she shakes loose. Here comes last year's champion Ouija board with Intercontinental catch and 1 furlong to do it. Filmmaker on the outside third. Wenda is now fourth. And Wonder Again fifth on the outside. Coming down to the finish. And it is Intercontinental. Clear by 2.5. Ouija board and Filmmaker chasing her home. But it was a crafty ride by Rafael Bejarano, who gets this front runner home. Intercontinental wins it by length and a half. Ouija board was second. Filmmaker was third. And Wonder Again was fourth. Where there is Intercontinental, usually a very willful sort. She just likes to toss her head about and resents being restrained at all. Bobby Frankel happy about the ride that Rafael Bejarano gave her today. It was a real crafty front-running ride that got her home.
It was indeed, Tom. We said Intercontinental was the likely pace setter, just as she was in her last race, a winning race at Keeneland in the Windstar Galaxy, but that was only a mile. Here's a mile and a quarter, but nobody ran with her, and Rafael Bejarano, I called him a rising star, and he is that. Been the leading rider at Keeneland this current fall meet, and really is on the way up to the big time in the world of thoroughbred racing. Intercontinental in the Juddmonte Farm colors, ridden by Rafael Bejarano to victory in the filly and mare turf. Bobby Frankel has won his 4th Breeders' Cup race as he saddles Intercontinental to win the filly and mare turf. This is a homebred Juddmonte Farms 5-year-old mare by Danehill out of Hasili by Kahashi, ridden by Rafael Bejarano. The Juddmonte Farms of Khalid Abdullah. And Rafael Bejarano gets his first Breeders' Cup win on his 3rd mount. He had 2 mounts in the first 2 Breeders' Cup races today. And today, in his 3rd mount, he gets his first victory. Let's see how it happened with Trevor Denman.
Thanks, Tom. Well, you know, horse racing, when you look at the horses, it's all about body language, and you'll never see a better example in this one with Intercontinental. She was absolutely loving it out on the lead there. She had it all her own way. Let's go and take a look at her at the top of the lane right here. If you look in closely, take a look at her head right here and watch her ears. They're starting to chase from behind her, and watch her just prick her ears forward. She's telling the rider, I'm loving this out here. They're never going to catch me today. And he's just asking her, look, hasn't even thought about the whip yet, just lets her run along, and she is just relishing it out here. Ouija board and Filmmaker in the blue chasing hard, but just look at the attitude of Intercontinental. This was a winner all the way this afternoon. She could go around again. They're not going to catch her. She actually was just enjoying herself out there. What a convincing winner, and a good win for Rafael Bejarano and Bobby Frankel. Ouija board ran her heart out, had to settle for second, and Filmmaker back third. But this horse this afternoon, there wasn't a filly or mare in the world that was going to beat her going 1.25 miles today.
All right, so Rafael Bejarano with the celebratory look to the heavens after he claims his first Breeders' Cup victory, and you'll be hearing a lot from this young man in the years to come in the world of thoroughbred racing. Defending champion Ouija Board just managing second, and Filmmaker third, who was second in the race last year. So last year's 1-2 finishers go 2-3 this year behind the front-running Intercontinental. It's the biggest filly and mare turf upset in the history of this race. And Bobby Frankel, who has had such a problem with this mare at times. She was headstrong. She'd be tossing her head and unable to rate as she went to the front. The regular rider, Jerry Bailey, who took her to victory in her last start at Keeneland before coming to the Breeders' Cup, took off Intercontinental in order to ride the defending champion Ouija Board, and so Rafael Bejarano takes his place and visits the winner's circle. And Intercontinental posting the biggest upset in the filly and mare turf history, 32-20. Ouija Board and Filmmaker, that exacta worth $131.50. And Khaled Abdullah's Juddmonte Farms, happy with that, of course, because she is a homebred. Some of the best bloodlines in all the world in the Juddmonte Farm operation. Dr. John Chandler, their U.S. manager, president of Juddmonte.
When Prince Khaled first got into the business, he was going to the sales and buying young horses, and that didn't really work out the way he wanted it. He said, I'm just going to make my own. So now he is literally the leading breeder in the world. The green and pink of Juddmonte just dominate every time they run. Bobby Frankel had said all along, he said, all this filly needs to do is just break and get out in front and relax. Once she's clear, she'll settle, and as Trevor said, she looked like she would just gallop all day long like that. Bobby was a little concerned about the soft, a little concerned about the distance, but clearly he had no issue. And there is actually, I see Prince Abdullah is here. He does not often come.
It's rare to see him. There's John
With his
Chandler.
back semi to you.
Rare to see
There he is.
the Prince. So he picked a good time to decide to come to the races and see one of his runners perform, because Intercontinental wins it over Ouija Board and Filmmaker. Wonder Again was fourth in favorable terms. Wind, who was up close early, and Gara, Megahertz, Karen's Caper, Mona Lisa, Lewis Line, Flip Flop, Risk Averse, and Sundrop completing the order of finish.
Thanks, Tom. And Rafi Bejarano put a great ride on Intercontinental. She leads all the way. Bobby Frankel, the trainer. And to make the presentation on behalf of Emirates, we have the Senior Vice President of Commercial Operations, Mr. Nigel Page. Nigel.
Thank you very much. Well, it's a great honor to be here and sponsor this race. We've been associated with horse racing for many years now. The Melbourne Cup, the Dubai World Cup, and races in the UK. This is our first year sponsoring races in the US.
Grab the trophy. No, but grab that trophy right there and let Bobby hold that for Juddmonte. It's kind of heavy, so be careful there. Bobby, present that to Bobby.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is a good big one.
This really is a big one. And Bobby, the last time we talked, now this horse wins the Windstar at Keeneland, and you weren't really talking Breeders' Cup then. You said, maybe the Matriarch. How plans change, and what a ride Rafi put up today.
Well, she broke good in the Matriarch, and she relaxed pretty good. And I know it looked like the wind was getting to her the other day, but speaking to Jerry and speaking to even John, who was second, he says every time you come to her, she'll go on again. So that's what was our plan, just to make the lead and don't move. Just as still as possible, as long as you can, and that's what he did. He worked a perfect race.
She is a full to Banks Hill, so who also won this.
Deja vu. Banks Hill never ran over a mile until this race at Belmont Park, and she won. So this is her little sister, full sister.
I see that Prince Abdullah is here.
Yeah, I think this is the first time he's been here when he's won a Breeders' Cup race.
Got to be pretty happy.
He's very excited, I'm sure.
Rafael Bejarano is one of the up-and-coming stars in the United States. He's come over from Peru. Every time he gets on a horse, the horse seems to improve. What a ride you put up. It was an excellent job in front all the way. Good job, Rafi.
Thank you very much. First, we like to say thank you very much for giving me this great opportunity to ride this really nice horse in this race. It's my first winners, my first Breeders' Cup. And I want to say thank you to Bobby Franco, to the owners for giving me this great opportunity. And, the horse, I try to listen the instruction of the trainer, and try to stay set in my horse, try to stay comfortable, and, don't fight with my horse. My horse, he broke really slow, a little bit, but he broke really when he's coming, little go fast. So I try to stay with my horse, together and stay set all the time to the half mile. When I see somebody in the inside, he trying to pass for the inside, I try to give a little intention, but not yet, move my horse.
Nobody was going by you today, Rafi. Great job by Bobby Frankel. Great ride by Rafael Bejarano, his first win in the Breeders' Cup. Let me tell you, it won't be his last, and that was a very impressive win for Intercontinental, Tom.
Yeah, 3 races in the Breeders' Cup books and 3 first-time winning jockeys, including Rafael Bejarano.